You ever sit back and think how lucky we are to have Jared Goff in this town?
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is a Thursday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, Thursday, March 7th, and a Friday, March the 8th. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. That, of course, includes Apple, Google, Spotify, and, of course, on YouTube. If you are watching on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button. And check us out each and every day on the video side right here on Locked On Lions. For those of you watching on the video side, yes, today we went formal today. We actually had a award ceremony to attend at the Detroit Chamber of Commerce. I want to give a shout out to Tara, Sheila, and the whole crew at the Detroit Chamber of Commerce. Today, yours truly was named the Detroit Chamber Advocate winner for this year. So I love that chamber. I love the people there. Proud member. Myself and Mark Gelman took home a co-prize. So it was really, really kind of cool. So thanks to everybody at the chamber. Hence why I'm wearing the suit today. Locked On Lions today is brought to you by our friends at the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Matt Dery Facebook fan page, again on YouTube as well. Coming up on the show, got a lot to get to, including some free agency stuff, but I wanted to start and go in a different direction today than what's going on out there in terms of people talking about the Lions. We got free agency next week and everything else. And I thought of this today driving actually to Troy this morning, but I heard something. I was listening to, I think it was a Sirius XM, NBA radio channel 86. I love the starting lineup with Frank Isola and Brian Scalabrine. Those guys do a heck of a job. I love that show. And I think it was in the update or something at the top of the hour. Russell Wilson's going to go to Pittsburgh and talk to the Steelers. I heard that today. And I thought to myself, again, another team desperate for a quarterback, maybe going to push that desperate button and go after a just washed Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can't play. If Russell Wilson could play, he'd still be in Seattle. If Russell Wilson could play, he'd still be in Denver. Why would the Pittsburgh Steelers, a renowned playoff franchise year in and year out, always there, even Mike Tomlin's bad years are like 10-7, 9-8, whatever it is. They drafted Kenny Pickett. I'm not turning this into Locked On Steelers, but just bear with me. They drafted Kenny Pickett 2 years ago. He had a bad offensive coordinator in Matt Canada who finally got fired during the season this year. Horrible job. Now you're just going to give up on him and bring in Russell Wilson? And again, maybe the Steelers are just having a conversation with them just to see if it's a fit, see if the two sides, see if there's interest. Maybe Mike Tomlin's a fan. I don't get it. But it made me think about our decision or our situation here in Detroit. Just look at the division. Right now, it appears Minnesota might be bringing back Kirk Cousins, but who knows? Atlanta reportedly likes Kirk Cousins. What if Kirk Cousins is not back with the Vikings? Where do they go? All right. The Packers believe they've got their future quarterback in Jordan Love. Right? They really like him. He had a great second half. But is it a lock that he is really, really good and leading them to the promised land? No. But he had a really good second half of the year, won a playoff game in Dallas, all of that. Then down the road, of course, in Chicago, the Bears at the moment have Justin Fields, but likely are going to draft Caleb Williams. And there's no guarantee that we're going to see stardom from a guy like that. And the Bears have not had a quarterback, right? A legitimate franchise quarterback. What? Jim McMahon? When they made the Super Bowl and lost to the Colts years ago, it was Rex Grossman. Jay Cutler was fine for a little while, but they couldn't wait to get rid of, Cuddy back in the day. All of these teams are searching. Atlanta is searching. Minnesota is searching. What about Washington? What about the Bears? Even in Dallas, they're questioning if Dak Prescott can get him over the hump. There are people in San Francisco that are still believing they could upgrade from their Super Bowl quarterback in Brock Purdy. What are the Jets going to do if Aaron Rodgers isn't healthy? Of course, there's teams that have quarterbacks. The Browns, they're ready to take the next step. But is Deshaun Watson the guy or not? Are they going to bring back Flacco? What if they bring back Flacco and he's a backup, but he's got the locker room and he owns it, but yet he's only a backup? And here in Detroit, we have our guy. Our guy is here. And no, I don't want to hear about 26-year-old Hendon Hooker. Well, they should give him a shot. No. The Lions quarterback is Jared Goff. And Jared Goff's the guy. So, it's refreshing to know we have our quarterback both now and in the future. When Matthew Stafford was here, he was definitely the man for many, many years. But the problem was it was never good enough for some fans. Again, Stafford didn't have the base, didn't have the supporting cast that Jared Goff has now. But regardless, Jared Goff is good. He's a good quarterback. And he can win in this league. And he nearly took this team to the Super Bowl this year. So while people are talking about all these different quarterbacks, and look, quarterback talk is something that's fun. You turn on ESPN during the day. You turn on FS1, whatever, podcasts. You talk quarterbacks. That's the main position. What will happen to Tua after this year? Is he going to leave Miami? There's only a certain handful of teams in this league that know that they've got their guy and that their guy is locked up. Now, again, Jared Goff is signed through next season. You've got to figure the Lions are going to negotiate a extension for him. Question is how much money? But stop and think. Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh? Really? What's Denver going to do? Oh, they'll just draft J.J. McCarthy and he'll be great there. Not necessarily. What about the Giants? They paid Daniel Jones $40 million a year, and now you turn on the shows. I was at the gym the other day and it was on ESPN. All they were talking about is Daniel Jones the guy? They just spent $40 million on him. He better be, but he's probably not. So my point is, I value what the Lions have, and that should not even be a discussion. Is Hendon Hooker going to be the backup? They maybe can have some packages for him this year where, he kind of runs around and maybe they utilize him a certain way with a wildcat and stuff. Sure. But no, this is Jared Goff's team. And you got to have that guy if you're going to win and win big. Who won the Super Bowl the last 2 years? Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. Right? I know people say, what about when Trent Dilfer was quarterback in the Ravens? Okay, fine. That was one of the best defenses of all time. Got to have the guy, and we have the guy here. And I love that. Just made me think about that when I was listening to Steelers talking to Russell Wilson today. Why would anybody want him? And I get it. He could sign for the minimum. He's going to be making money owed to him by Denver that they, guaranteed money that he's owed. Now they got rid of him. Still got to pay him the guaranteed money he's owed. So he could sign for the minimum. He'll be getting 2 checks, one from the Broncos and one from whomever he signs with. But no, I'll take Jared Goff over Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, any of those Steelers quarterbacks. Take a Josh Dobbs. Didn't he play for Pittsburgh? Mark Malone. I can keep going. Neil O'Donnell. Take Jared Goff over all of them. Not Ben Roethlisberger, but you get my point. All right, coming up next, I saw a list today, interesting, coming from the Lions and DetroitLions.com with Tim Twentyman about some players the Lions could look at in free agency. There's one that made the top of the list that I don't want, and there's somebody else that I want instead. I will explain that coming up next. We'll do that right here on a Thursday edition of Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions today brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Hey, looking for tickets? Want to get tickets to an event? Maybe it's last minute. Maybe you're thinking about going down to the Pistons game tonight to see them take on the juggernaut Brooklyn Nets. Nothing like a Mikal Bridges show on a Thursday night. Well, if you want to do that, Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. They got killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Best thing I like about the Game Time app, views from your seat, all seats in the venue. I love that. I'm sitting in section 211. All right, where is that? Upstairs, 50-yard line or center court, whatever it is, and you can see exactly where you're sitting with Game Time. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive at the arena or stadium. Do me a favor. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And not only are we brought to you by our friends at the Game Time app, which we love, but what about eBay Motors? Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, Locked On Lions today, is brought to you by eBay Motors. I am everywhere. We're going to talk about Robinhood in a second, but first, let's say about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. That's because at eBay Motors, everything you need to maintain your vehicle, everything, and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has it. They got you covered right there on the website. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. With eBay Motors, an eBay guaranteed fit. With that, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guarantee fit. Only available to U.S. customers. All right, so there was a list that was put out today on the Lions website from DetroitLions.com. Tim Twentyman has been writing there for many, many years and does a very good job. And he wrote a story today, top 10 free agents that could interest the Lions. Now, again, point of reference here. The Lions aren't feeding Tim anything. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, nobody's going up to Tim Twentyman going, put on our website, we like this player. That's not happening. This is Tim reading the room, using his sources, and throwing out some names of players that he thinks the Lions could go after. Let me give you the list of 10 just real fast. Jonathan Grenard, the edge from Houston. Kendall Fuller, cornerback, Washington. Edge, Dorrance Armstrong, Dallas. Defensive tackle from Tennessee, Danico Autry. Robert Hunt, the guard from the Dolphins. Andrew Van Ginkel, outside linebacker / pass rusher from the Dolphins. Defensive end Mike Dana from Kansas City, the former Michigan Wolverine. Stephon Gilmore, Stephen Gilmore's older brother from Dallas, the corner. Danielle Hunter, of course, from the Twins. Vikings, the edge. And Chidobe Awuzie, the cornerback from the Cincinnati Bengals. So a lot of edges and a lot of cornerbacks on this list. First name on the list is somebody that I do not think is that good. And I think I've got some insight on that, all right? And that is Jonathan Grenard, 26 years old. Would I take an edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson that had 12 and a half sacks last season? Yes, I would. I think Jonathan Grenard is a good football player. He's fine, all right? Sixth among all edge rushers with a 19% pass rush win rate last year, all right? He's 26 years old. Jonathan Grenard, because of those inflated numbers, is going to command a lot of money. And I'm not sure he's going to be worth the contract. Now, my buddy Cleve TA on Twitter, at CLEVTA, who does a lot of football analytics, the guy knows his stuff, had a great tweet today, and I really respect TA's opinion. He's a sports analytics guy. And he wrote, quote, doing work on free agent edge rushers, and Grenard is going to get totally overpaid in the market, which I agree with. And it's all based on sacks. 8 of his 14 sacks, all right, again, 14 sacks, or I should say 8 of his 12 and a half sacks last season came versus Zach Wilson, Will Levis, and Bryce Young. All three rank inside top 7 in pressure to sack percentage. He converted 26% of his pressures into sacks, a completely unsustainable rate. Grenard likely will be decent in 2024, but not nearly what he will get paid to produce, end quote. That is from Cleve TA of Cleve TA Analytics. Check out him on Twitter again. Cleve TA Analytics. He does an NFL preview. He's awesome. Go to Cleve, CLEV Analytics.com. All right. I like TA. I think he knows his stuff. I think he's spot on about Grenard. All right. Guy put up inflated numbers and had some sacks against some bad O-lines and some bad quarterbacks last year. The guy that I think would be better and finished this past season third in the NFL in pressure rate was Bryce Huff of the Jets, who also last year finished with 10 sacks. Huff is also a year younger at 25. He's an outside linebacker. Grenard, I think, is a little bit bigger than Huff. But Bryce Huff is a guy that was playing so well last year that the Jets GM Joe Douglas was trying like heck to trade him, was trying to get something for him. They didn't franchise tag him, which to me makes no sense because I think he's a good football player. And I think he'll be cheaper than Grenard based on the sack numbers. And he had a better pressure rate percentage, number 3 in the league, as opposed to Grenard, who finished with a he was 6th among all edge rushers with a 19% pass rush win rate. Bryce Huff's a better player. I truly believe that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've broken down all the Jets tape and all the Texans tape, but I think the Lions sound like Kirk Gibson. The Lions don't do 4-year deals and massive money for just anybody, right? I see Grenard and his agent looking for big money on a 3-year or 4-year deal. I think the Lions could get Bryce Huff at 2 years and maybe $26 million, as opposed to maybe something that Grenard, who had higher numbers, albeit if you listen to TA, inflated, is going to get. All right. So watch for Bryce Huff from the Jets, who I think has much more, has a little bit better upside, a lot more speed. And I think he's been more consistent than Grenard. Just my 2 cents. All right. A lot of good players on that 20-man list that I think could be fits. There are so many free agent cornerbacks in this class. And I do believe that Darius Williams from Jacksonville will be a Lion because of his familiarity with Deshae Townsend. We've talked about this the last couple of days. I think that could be a fit, but the Lions could be dipping into free agency to go after a lot of cornerbacks, but all of them maybe, not, I'm saying bargain basement or cheap, but all more affordable than, let's say, going out and trying to break the bank, for a Kendall Fuller. The L'Jarius Sneed thing is interesting. I want to get into that coming up next. We'll see if the Lions go there. But there are plenty of cornerbacks available in this draft. I mean, Stephon Gilmore's older. All right. A 1-year deal to play with his brother might be in the cards. That's what the Lions have been doing. I mean, Cam Sutton got 3 years last year. That was almost unheard of for Brad Holmes. But Emmanuel Mosley's back on a 1-year deal. Jerry Jacobs this past year was going into his last year on a 1-year deal. Will Harris re-signed last year on a 1-year deal. He likely won't be back. Stephon Gilmore on a 1-year deal might not be bad. Awuzie didn't have a great year this past year. Might also be a 1 or 2 year deal type of situation. So we'll see. I mean, Tre'Davious White from the Bills just got let go. There's a ton of corners out there. And, once the top guys are off the board, if L'Jarius Sneed ends up getting traded and signed somewhere else, or it's a sign and trade or a tag and trade or whatever, then you dip into a little bit more responsibility shopping than what's out there right now for some of the high end guys. So we shall see. All right. I mentioned before L'Jarius Sneed. Big money was doled out to one of the better corners in the game today, which could set the market a little bit for Sneed. And then you got to ask the question, would the Lions do this and really go for it? And I will explain that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you could still have an IRA? Robinhood is the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. That's robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. If I could talk today. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of a first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. All right, everybody, you're thinking, what is L'Jarius Sneed going to cost the Lions if they make a trade with the Chiefs in terms of money for Sneed? He's going to want a long-term deal. Today, Jalen Johnson of the Bears signed a brand spanking new 5-year deal with Chicago. They franchise tagged him. They got him on the books for 5 years at a reported $19 million a year. Jalen Johnson's very, very good. He's young too. He's only 23, 24? That's a good deal for the Bears. You get him at $19 million a year. All right. Excuse me. It was a 4-year deal. 4 years, $19 million per. All right. So he's making close to $80 million. 4 years, $76 million. Jalen Johnson's good. All right. And he had a really good season this past year. Teams hardly threw at him. Had some picks against the Lions. Ball hawk, physical. And the Bears kept him, which sucks for us as Lions fans, but whatever. L'Jarius Sneed is a little bit better than Jalen Johnson. L'Jarius Sneed is a all-pro corner. Jalen Johnson's good. Sneed's all-pro. You got to figure now, if the Lions are talking to the Chiefs, they're going to have to spend $20 million a year on a cornerback. They are. Cam Sutton got $11 million last year. Manuel Mosley got $5 million last year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got $6 million, just to give you a little bit of a measuring stick. All right. $20 million a year for a corner is not something that the previous regime of the Lions, remember years ago, wanted to do with Darius Slay, and they traded him. Is Brad Holmes willing to do that? Or does Brad Holmes say, I know cornerbacks. I was the cornerback whisperer with the Rams, and I can get 3 or 4 guys at $3 million, $4 million, $5 million. You know, Mosley on a 1-year flyer at $5 million. I can get a bevy of guys. I can get Stephon Gilmore for 1 year and $5 million. And he can be I'm not saying he can be just as good as L'Jarius Sneed, but he can be effective enough in our system that we don't need to break the bank on a $20 million a year corner. Now, you're asking me if I would do it? I would, and here's why. L'Jarius Sneed's awesome. And he's young. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's a shutdown guy. You're the Lions. You're going for it right now. Last couple years, yeah, Jerry Jacobs on a 1-year, Will Harris on a 1-year, Mosley on a 1-year. Will Harris, it was fine, right? I mean, today, Chase Lucas was not tendered a contract. He's going to go into free agency. The Lions drafted Chase Lucas, albeit in the 7th round. They want to upgrade. It's what I said yesterday. They want to get really good at corner so that their secondary is really good and not having the type of weeks 15 through 18 and the first round of the playoffs like we saw this past year. Kindle Vildor on cheap money was getting destroyed by CeeDee Lamb. Embarrassed. The next week it was Puka Nacua. The next week it was Justin Jefferson. The next week it was Mike Evans. And I'm not picking on Vildor, but Sutton wasn't playing well either. The Lions need better players at cornerback. Would I give L'Jarius Sneed $20 million a year? I think I might. We're not talking about a guy that's 28 or 29. He's so young. Wants to get paid. And now he's gonna ask for 20. Jalen Johnson got 19. Sneed's gonna ask for 20. Sneed's agent's gonna say, what's Jalen Johnson won in Chicago? My clients won 2 Super Bowls back to back. He shuts down one side of the field. Imagine putting L'Jarius Sneed on this Lions defense. That's exactly what they need. Then you can draft other places. Then you can get your left guard if you need it. Then you can add some depth at wide receiver. Then you can get D tackles and D ends that you need. Sneed is a proven commodity and would be a gigantic addition to this Lions team. Home run. Exactly what they need so they can get over the hump and beat the Niners and whomever next year. So, and again, the Lions are waving goodbye to all these guys. Jerry Jacobs, bye. Today, Chase Lucas, not even going to tender him a restricted offer, even on the cheap, because they want to upgrade at that position. And I don't blame them. I had something written down on again, I got to put my readers on. Yeah, Chase Lucas, not a surprise. More of a special teams guy, and the last time he touched the football was when he botched the Jack Fox punt and couldn't down it at the 1 yard line in the NFC Championship game. All right, we got a Friday Locked On Lions tomorrow. Thanks to our everydayers who are out there. We appreciate you each and every day right here on Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll see you tomorrow.